Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, my name is Precious. Thank you so much for stopping by. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 years in marriage. Yes, I've been married for over 10 years. So I'm going to be talking about the things that I've learned being married for 10 years. 10 things I've learned being married for 10 years. Can you believe it? I made it 10 years in marriage. So there are so many things I've learned, but I've just picked out 10 things I've learned being married. And I think that this is going to help a lot of people, single people, people about getting married, people young in marriage. This is going to help them. So let's not waste time, guys. Let's get talking. The first thing I've learned is to love unconditionally. This one took me a long time to actually love when I know that the person just got me upset. To love when I know that the person does not deserve it. To love when I know that it's actually very difficult to love. I've come to a place which I think God really helped me. The Holy Spirit helped me. My faith actually helped me to be able to love, because I feel like if Jesus can love me unconditionally, if he can actually be there for me even when I don't deserve it, if he can die for me even while I was a sinner, why should I not love? Why should I not do what I'm supposed to do as a wife? So being married for 10 years has actually taught me to love even when my husband does not deserve it. To love even when he has just got me angry or he has just said something I didn't like. To not stop doing what I'm supposed to do as a wife even when I am unhappy. So that's what I've learned being married for 10 years. Another thing that I've learned is to learn how to ignore more. I am one of those people that when I want to fight, I will fight from the beginning to the end. If there's an argument, that argument has to be resolved. In fact, I'm one of those people that I don't ignore anything. Ignoring things was not in my dictionary. But being married has actually taught me to ignore a lot of things. There are times that I want something and I just can't get it at that time. I have to know that, okay, you can't get it at that time. And there are times that things happen that the other side of me want to react, and I just have to calm down and ignore it. I see so many things I ignore. There are things that happen that on a normal day I would not ignore that thing. I have to say something or I have to act. If I don't say something, I will act. My action will tell you that there's something I need to say. But I've learned, I've grown, I've chosen to learn how to ignore a lot of things. So that's what 10 years of marriage has taught me. Another thing that I've learned being married for 10 years is that I've learned that not all arguments are going to be resolved. I can fight. Like I said, I'm one of those people that if there's an argument, it's based on how I was brought up. I was brought up in such a way that you need to sit down, talk about it, trash it. Everything needs to be trashed. But I found out that my husband doesn't speak much. My husband does not like confrontation. My husband, he would avoid confrontation by any means possible. And I was that person that was always on fire. I was that person that would want to talk the talk. I was that person that want to argue to the end. But when I found out that my husband doesn't like that, he doesn't like it. You don't get the best out of him when you want to talk. So I learned that there are some arguments that just doesn't need to be resolved. Another thing I also learned is that there are some arguments that we'll have that when I want us to talk about it, he says to me, but there's no need to talk about it. Like, what are we talking about? We've moved on. Like, it's not so important to talk about me. So I've actually learned that issues to talk about has to be in like scale of preferences. It has to be based on the weight of the matter. It's not all matter. It's not all issues that we have to sit down. He sits down there, I sit down here, and we'll talk about it. So some problems we talk about it. Some problems come and go without talking about it, because we just resolved it on our own and we've learned the things that we need to learn. Now, I'm going to say something. I am not saying that you should not resolve your problems or you should not resolve issues when they come. The issues that we did not have to sit down to talk about are issues that we both learned our lessons, or we both learned some things and we've decided to move on without talking about it because we've learned. What's the point talking about it? So those are the things that we don't talk about. But if there are issues that you need to talk about, we always talk. I still talk. We always talk about our issues that needs to talk about. And there are times that he wants to talk about and I don't want to talk about, and we just sit down as well and talk about it. But there are issues that we both agree that we don't want to talk about it. Now, let me rephrase it. There are issues that I want to talk about, he doesn't want to talk about. And sometimes he will say, okay, let's talk about it. But sometimes he will say, well, we've moved on. There's no need to talk about it, and we'll move on. And there are issues that he wants to talk about as well, and we'll do the same thing. But there are issues that we both just say, there's no need to talk about this issue. Let us move on. And there are issues that we have to talk about it to be able to move on, and we talk about it. So I have learned that not every argument, not every issue, we have to sit down like I was taught to talk about it. I have to let go of certain things and know that some issues will just resolve by itself. Another thing I've learned in 10 years of marriage is that I have learned that my dear husband will not do everything I say, no matter how fantastic it is. There are some times that I will have this perfect idea, I will have this thing that I really want him to do, I really want us to do as a family, and I come up to him to say, okay, my love, there's something that I have thought about or I want us to do. With all my excitement, he's gonna say, no. I don't have to argue. And most of the times he say no, he gives me reasons why he's saying no. So even if it's a good idea, even if it's something that is beautiful, if we had done it, he says no with reasons why he's saying no. I have to let it go. I have to leave it. So not everything that I tell my husband, not everything that I want him to do, no matter how good he is, that he does or that I expect him to do. Now, there's something that I learned from my mom growing up. One of the things that I learned from my mom is that as a Christian, I grew up in a very Christian home. Like, if you know that I'm from a very, very strict Christian home. One of the things that I learned from my mom is that my mom does not speak to my dad without praying. She knows my dad. She knows there are some times that he can just say no to certain things. But I learned that before I speak to my husband about things that are very, very important, about things that he may not necessarily buy the idea immediately, but I want him or I want us to do that thing, I pray about it and I ask God, if you want us to do this, or if this is your will, as I go to speak to Derrick, please may he see reasons with me, may he understand. So I learned this from my mom because that's what my mom does, and according to her, it works for her. It has been working for her, and honestly guys, it has been working for me. I pray before I speak to my husband on issues that I know that are very, very important, and I want us to do those things. I want us to talk about, I want us to take decision on those things. So 10 years of marriage, I've learned that not everything I ask or I want my husband to do, no matter how good he is, that he's going to do it. Another thing that 10 years of marriage has taught me is that my happiness does not depend on my husband. I have learned that my happiness does not depend on my husband. If you haven't seen my video on how to make yourself happy, please, my dear friends, see that video, because from that video there are so many things I talked about, the things that I do that makes me happy. You want to see that video? It's very, very good video, a very, very good and educative video. My happiness does not depend on my husband. I have learned it a very long time, and guess what? I make myself happy. And thank God I learned it early enough. Not immediately we got married, because immediately we got married, I was expecting a lot from him. But a few years after marriage, I knew that, I'm not going to get this happiness that I'm wanting from this man. I have to be responsible for my happiness. So that's what 10 years of marriage has taught me. To be responsible for my happiness, to know that my husband cannot make me happy all the time. Even if in as much as he wants me to be happy, in as much as he wants to make me happy, he cannot make me happy all the time. So I have to make my happiness my responsibility and my priority. So that's what 10 years of marriage has taught me. Another thing 10 years of marriage has taught me is I have learned how to compromise. Did I have a choice? I didn't have a choice. Marriage will teach you how to compromise by any means possible. I have learned that I cannot get it my way all the time. There are times that I just have to, okay, that's fine. We just have to do it the way you want it. And as well, him as well, if both parties have to compromise, there are things that I like specific ways. If you know me, you know that I try my best to be very, very clean and tidy. I like my things in a specific way, but marriage has taught me that you see those clothes that needs to go in the laundry basket. Sometimes Oga will not put it in the laundry basket. Oga will put it by the laundry basket. You see those dishes that has to be in a particular place. Sometimes it's not going to be there. So I had to compromise on so many things, and there are decisions that, okay, I would have loved it this way, but my husband loves it that way, so I have to compromise. And I think that he has compromised a lot because he is his own person, so he has compromised a lot. So 10 years of marriage has taught me to learn how to compromise a lot. Another thing 10 years of marriage has taught me is to be more patient. Like, marriage itself will drag your patience to the limit. Then when you not add children, it will not drag it and stretch it to the end. Marriage has taught me to be more patient, and even having children has taught me to be even more patient with everything. I'm a lot more patient. Before I snap like that, before I don't tolerate nonsense. Before I can't take it. If I don't like it, I walk off. But now I'm married, okay? I'm Mrs. Somebody, so I have to be patient. My husband is someone that when he wants to take a decision, he takes his time. He takes his time. If he wants to order something, he takes his time. He makes sure. And honestly, it has made me, when he says no to something, at first I may be upset about it, but I always trust his judgment. I always know that he is always going to do the right thing. At the end of the day, his decision is always going to be the right decision for the family and the right decision for us. So in as much as he takes his time and he drags my patience a little bit, he makes me wait and wait and wait before he decides what he wants to do, we end up doing the right thing. So my patience has been tested so many times, and I have grown a lot in patience. So 10 years of marriage, it's taught me to be a lot more patient than I was. And I think I'm going to even be more patient as time goes on. Another thing 10 years of marriage has taught me is that I cannot change my husband. There is a video I made on what singles should do while they are singles. Single guys, single girls. If you are also married, you have people that are single around you, please send them that video. The video is going to be popping out on the screen. I'm going to put the card on the screen so you can see it. Women like projects. Women think that, okay, I'm going to change him. He doesn't like blue color, but when I get married to him, I'm going to make him to like blue. He doesn't like this thing, but when we get married, I'm going to change him. He's going to like, it's a lie, right? 10 years of marriage has taught me that I don't have the strength to change anything about my husband. I don't have I cannot change him. The way he is the way God is. That's him. He's unique in his own way. Honestly, we got attracted to each other because of who he is. So I cannot change him. The only thing I can do, like I say, is to compromise. We meet halfway. But for me to say, okay, this attitude, this thing that you do, you have to change it. 10 years of marriage has taught me that I cannot change anybody. So if you're a single person out there and you see an attitude in someone that you're hoping to get married to, and you know that this attitude is an attitude that you cannot actually manage, you cannot cope, and you think, okay, when we get married, he or she is going to change. Can I just say to you, you don't have the strength to change anybody, right? Change comes from God. If God decides to change that person, fine. But if you think that your ability, your strength, the skill set that you have is going to help you change that person, don't waste your time. If the person's attitude is okay for you to cope with, go ahead. But if it's an attitude that you can't cope with and you're hoping to change, save yourself the stress, because 10 years of marriage has taught me, and I guess people that are even older in marriage will also be able to talk more on this, that you don't have the strength. We don't have the strength to change anybody. People change when they decide to change. So that's what 10 years of marriage has taught me. Another thing 10 years of marriage has taught me is that, you know, when people say that it takes one person to make a relationship work, that is a lie from the pit of hell. Like, that is a lie. 10 years of marriage has taught me that both parties, the husband and the wife, has to be committed to make it work. If one person is not committed in that relationship, forget it. That relationship is going to, at some point, you guys are going to go your separate ways. So what 10 years of marriage has taught me is that both parties, you have to be committed, right? You have to make it work. My husband always says to me that people see marriage as one of those easy things. It's not easy. If you don't agree to make it work, and if the other person does not agree to make it work, it's not going to work. He always says that. He says people have to work hard. The way you work hard to make money, the way you work hard to get whatever you want to get, that's the way you need to work hard to make your marriage work. 10 years of marriage has taught me that, and Derrick always says it. Committed, you have to be committed. You have to work hard, both parties, not one person, not the woman alone, not the man alone, but the woman and the man has to come together and decide that they are going to work hard to make their marriage work. That's what 10 years of marriage has taught me. Another thing 10 years of marriage has taught me is that I should ask for help when I need it. When I got married, or when we had our first child, I was expecting that, okay, Derrick can do this thing, Derrick is going to do this thing, Derrick is going to do that. I was expecting, right? It was in my head, okay, he's a grown-up man, he's a man, he needs to know when that we need this in the house, he needs to know that we need this, he needs to know that we need that. Do you know what 10 years of marriage has taught me? 10 years of marriage has taught me that that's my expectation, that thing that is in my head. My husband cannot see it. My husband cannot read my mind. My husband is not a mind reader. If I want anything, I need to ask. If I don't ask, I am not going to get it. So that's what 10 years of marriage has taught me, to ask for help. And you know what? When you ask for help, you're going to get help. When I started asking him, oh, my love, can you do this for me? Or can you do that for me? Or can you do that for me? He does it. But when I don't ask, it's not as if he doesn't want to. He doesn't know. Men don't know. If you're a girl, right? If you're a lady, can I just say something as someone that has experienced this so many times? If you're a lady and you're struggling, you're frustrated that your husband is not helping you, have you asked him to help you? Have you asked him to do that thing that you want him to do? Or you just think, he's a grown man, he should know it. They don't know. You need to ask him. Make your life easy by asking for help. So that's what 10 years of marriage has actually taught me, to ask for help when I need it. So thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope that you've enjoyed it and you've picked one or two things from this. These are the things I have learned being married for 10 years. There are so many things I have learned, but these are the very, very striking things that I have learned so far, and I am still learning. Like, every day is a journey, isn't it? I am still learning. So thank you guys for watching this video. Just before you go, if you enjoyed this video and you liked it, please press the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I am going to be posting more videos on my marriage, on relationship, on lifestyle. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos, and trust me and believe in me that I'm going to bring contents that are very, very educative and that you would learn a lot from. So thank you so much for watching. Be grateful, be positive, and be yourself. Please check out my other videos as well. They are popping on the screen. Check them out. See you on my next video.